So everybody can see the diagram coming up?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll pass the word to Alex.
Try, yeah. So, hi guys. I was actually working on a diagram for you for something else, and then it just disappeared in the last 5 minutes. So great. So what we're going to talk about now is basically the data model for your application, and so we are now like you were working with the storybook and front end, the React, CSS, and all that stuff, and here you are in the domain of essentially the database layer or the data layer. So what just to take the big picture, we are going to cover this Next.js. So Next.js, you guys haven't covered throughout the course. You had Node.js, you had React, you had just normal JavaScript. This here is not really a big topic other than essentially you can think of it as an abstraction on top of a database. This is just one way of working with your data layer. So whenever you're looking at this, you can think in terms of SQL just as well. And what we're going to cover first is, I think, what exactly is it that we are dealing with? What kind of objects? What kind of classes? What kind of concepts exist here? So let's have a look. Should we start? Well, first of all, roles and user roles. Let's start with that. So I'm starting with the less critical aspects of this first. So we have a user, that every individual user, I guess, the person that plays the game, and it has different roles. Then maybe actually could talk about the distinction between user roles and roles. What kind of roles exist? Do you have those in mind?
No, this is basically imported from the previous projects. And we always figure out a way of having different roles. But up to now, it's just a good to have, because mainly all the users in the game will be players. And the game will be somehow hard-coded, at least on this first phase. But in the future, you can consider a user that created a map has a different user from the player.
Oh, okay.
And you could have a user which is a developer, so we have to have access to all the layers of the yeah.
Right. So the user here is just like an individual user, like one of you, and then you have a role, or a user could be a child playing this game or whoever, and then it can be a player or a game creator. Let's say those are the two. And let's move on a little bit to the what else is in here. So a game factory is basically you can make many games out of the game factory. So it's like a template for making games, right? So each game has a game instance. So we have a game instance is something that you are playing right now. A game factory is something that generates those game instances. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then each game has a bunch of questions and I have a bunch of answers. And here, pay attention to the fact that there are two types of answers. One is the answer choices. Answer choices being what is, well, we have multiple choice, right? You have a question, I don't know, what's the capital of Denmark? And then the answer choices are, you know, Paris, Berlin, London, and Copenhagen. And then this one has a Boolean for the correct answer. So you have Copenhagen will have the true, and all the other ones will have false. But also we have the actual answer. So the actual answers is not, so these questions and answer pairs, it will be the same. The actual answers is what the users will put in. So A game instance is a thing with that particular person or team is playing, and then when they put in their answers, you will record those answers, and then you will compare them to the answer choices, and then make sure is it correct or is it wrong, and then you will be able to go back and say, okay, how did this team do? And if they got the question wrong, what did they actually answer? You have a record of that. Do you want to add something to that?
No, no. You should see this as the first data model. We never rule out that we have to add other fields or even other tables. But this pretty much covers what we aim for. Again, be ready for changes because they always happen.
Yeah, and just maybe we should go over the remaining ones here. Can you guys see map and themes? Yeah, so the map is just a sort of a visualization of where this game is played, right? So we have a map of, I don't know, something, what's the concept here? Is a play area.
Yeah, exactly.
You could say
play
play area. So this map will have coordinates for the corners. That's an easy one, even though it's a lot of fields, but you know it's just left, right, up, down, and then it has. Then you will display that portion of the map, I suppose, with an API. When I'm talking about displaying things, guys, it's not part of this, right? So the only thing you have in this is the numbers and the data that will help you do the front end work. So we're clear. So here we're just talking about fields and text and numbers, basically anything you put in a database. And themes, I think that so far we have just like 2 themes. I think it was one of you did a demo just now on the field. So there's like two modes, 2 types of themes. I forget what they're called, but this is what this is. There's gonna be like just two types of themes. Normally you have like dark or bright theme or whatever you want it to be. This is not a super important aspect. The most important part here is questions and answer choices, and then the game instances and actual answers. Those are the ones you're going to be having the most heavy logic on. So that's sort of the explanation of the game part of things. But maybe we could look at. Do we need any questions so far? I guess. Surely there will be more later, so don't feel like you have to understand everything from the beginning. But if there's something to ask, feel free to ask. User and a host role. Yes, that's exactly commenting on what kind of roles we have.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah. If there's any questions, speak up. Well, we will continue and also have more chances for questions later. Okay, so far so good, no questions. So then we're gonna go to what is Connects and what is it good for. So I just want to